Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ironis Insights. I have a great guest here, Gustavo Cano, and he is the CEO and founder of Fundamental. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
I really appreciate you hopping on. We have a lot to talk about, how we can make things more efficient, how we can use different tools that we have today. But before we do, can you just give us a little background on, how you got to where you are today and why you started Fundamental?
Absolutely. Funny enough, I was born in Spain, and I studied physics in college. My major was nuclear reactor design and laser optics. Nothing to do with the financial industry. But after college, there was a 25% unemployment in Spain, and I was lucky, and I was selected by a bank. They were looking for people with a strong math background.
Okay.
And I was one of them. They selected 15 guys, and I was one of them. And I was able at the time to solve differential equations, but I was not able to know. I didn't know what interest rate was or how to, what a mortgage was, so to speak.
Mhm.
So it was a 2-year journey to understand and improve. And then for 25 years, I was working. I worked in the wealth management industry. I started managing money for high net worth individuals, also advising pension plans in Latin America. And after 25 years, I accumulated frustration because I didn't have a good tool to do my job.
Yeah.
What was it? Basically, filter over zillions of funds, instruments, ETFs, bonds, stocks, make good proposals, make scenarios for portfolios, and come up with a decent solution in a simple way. So fast forward to the pandemic, and then I was basically we were basically stopped for a year, and I had the opportunity to think what I was going to do with my life, and what I wanted to do, more than anything. And then I started to kind of think about that potential tool that had me mulling for a while on my head. And in 2021, I decided, you know what, I cannot find anything outside in the real world that can help me. I see an opportunity, and I feel I feel the strength and the voice inside me that says you need to do it. And so we did. We started with that. We started a platform, and so what we did is we created a platform that connects investors, advisors, and asset managers. We put the data in there, and so we have people and data. And then, as you can see for our logo up here, fundamental is something basic, not something complicated. It's something that you can build something upon. So what we did is we created something that you can work, you can do analysis and proposals and portfolios at a distance of basically 3 clicks. So that's in a very condensed way our journey. And funny enough, last month in June, we became a 5-year company. So it's a 5-year anniversary. So we're
Congratulations,
somehow.
man.
Thank you so much. It's been a journey. So that's a little bit of our story.
Wow. I mean, what a transition. I mean, and it took a pandemic for you to actually have the time, sit back, reflect, and then really understand, what do I want to do or what should I be doing, right?
Yeah, and also it was an accumulated burnout from the corporate world.
Uh-huh.
Too many rules, and it's so much wasted time and effort from everyone. I mean, I think
Yeah.
we're all victims of that entity, which is the corporate world. And I think I needed a change. And you're right, the pandemic was a perfect pause button where I can reflect and think of, well, okay, what's going to happen on the other side, on the other, maybe at the second half of the other third of my life. And so I think I took the opportunity, and I made it.
It's incredible, man. I mean, so I actually have a similar story or reference when I first started working in New York City right out of college. Fortune 250 company, commercial real estate. I'm so excited. I'm ready to see what kind of technology they have. I was always like a first mover on any type of tech and like, building computers at a young age. I get there. I get handed like a brick laptop, and this is 2012. 2012. Brick. We had nicer laptops in 2012.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
an Excel spreadsheet, and a Cisco Systems phone on my desk, and they said, go make money. And I said, what am I supposed to do? You don't even give me a CRM. I said,
Correct.
I, so literally, I probably my whole life I've always liked being efficient and tried to be efficient, but this is when I was like, something has to be changed here. There's
Yep.
no way that this company, this publicly traded, is running like this. And that's
Yeah.
and that it, but the scary thing is, Gustavo, is a lot of them and most of them are. Actually, the bigger they
Uh,
are, the slower they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there needs to be pain because the pain is what pushes to invent or adapt or change and make other people change their habits. But you're absolutely right.
Yeah. I mean this is something really important that you're doing. So why don't you dive into a little bit about, what were your first things that you implemented?
Yeah. So the first things that we did was basically to put a place where you could do analytics. It was simply just put the prices, the data, so you could do comparisons. So if you
Yeah.
tell me everyone comes to you and say, "Listen, I have the best fund in the world in this category," and I said, "Okay, let's prove it." So now I have a tool to do it,
Yeah.
and it's something that anybody can register and use it, right? So that was the first thing. But then I started thinking, I said, "But wait a minute." This is a conversation between two people, the asset manager or the product provider and the financial advisor. So let's connect them. So I need to put a chat embedded on the platform. So it's an ecosystem so we can share information. Otherwise, one of the things I realized is that everybody was working in silos.
Hmm.
So we did it, we connected the two. And then I said, but wait a second, we're missing the most important part, which is the guy with the money. Because if we don't have the guy with the money, the advisor has nothing to advise. And then the product provider doesn't have a product to offer the advisor because there's no guy with the money. So then I said, okay, so we need three actors at least, which is the investor, the advisor, and the product provider or asset manager.
Uh-huh.
Now, once we had that in the platform with connecting the three of them, then, particularly in the US, as you well know, this is a very regulated industry, and compliance is a need and a headache at the same time. So
Yes.
then we say, wait a minute. So we now have the three actors. We have the data. So to have people and data. We have a communication system. We need to embed compliance, and so that's what we did. And so those are the building blocks. And so once we have that, clients came to us and users and they say, Gustavo, you have a nice platform. It's easy to use. And yet I don't have the time or the energy or the knowledge to do all the things that the platform allows me to do. Would you be able to set up an advisory unit to help us navigate these markets? Because right now everything's going up, but at some point it's going to get challenging. And so we did, and we created a registered investment advisor. It's called Fundamental Investment Services, and we provide advisory to financial advisors that need it. So then the asset managers came to us and said, listen, we're working with third-party distributors, and we might need someone that does the supervision for the distribution of products in the US. So we bought a broker dealer that's now named Fundamental Securities under FINRA in the US, and we do the supervision. But then when we started to put all these things together, then AI exploded, and then we said, listen, this is something that we cannot miss. We need to have this as a tool, not to say that we use it, but to actually use it probably without them noticing. And so we embed a lot of AI in the processes. So we have an assistant that does all the work for us in the platform, and then all the supervision, reading documents, supervising emails, all that is done by an agent. So those are the building blocks that we have in. And now we're going into private funds, including, of course, real estate. And then we're also becoming transactional for mutual funds, ETFs, and then stocks, bonds, etc. And then we're exploring also the tokenization of assets, which we think is going to be huge. So, full plate, not only ideas, but projects and things that we have accomplished. So long days, long weeks, long years.
Yeah, but it sounds like you guys are killing it. I mean, 5 years. That's a big statement, man. I mean, I want to say congrats again. I mean,
Thank you.
you just bought a broker dealer. Like,
Yes, we did. We did because very. It was a simple broker dealer with very little history,
hmm
but we needed a license, and then going through the process is tedious, and
hmm
we and it was an opportunity, and we took it.
Hmm.
So just the fact that we are still alive and being able to offer our services to our clients, it's incredible. And trust me, there's been a lot of sleepless nights on all this. But I think it's, again, there needs to be pain, and that
Yeah.
pain pushes you to get new clients, to get new business, and do things like the ones we're doing.
So what type of pain, you mentioned pain, so what type of pain points have you experienced just by,
Yeah,
starting a new company itself? I know it is brutal to begin with. You're wearing every single hat, you're doing every single job when you first, especially when you first start, right? Now it
yep,
sounds like
yep.
you have like infrastructure and you have things rolling, but it's
But
still it's still
I still roll up my sleeves.
yeah,
Yeah, no, no.
exactly. Yeah. It doesn't stop.
So I tell you, everybody talks very positively about transformation, but transformation means change.
Yeah.
And when you need to change, you need to do an effort. So
Hmm.
we're creatures of habit. So we used to do things, and especially with age, and there are little things that we say, listen, I know your way of doing things is better, more efficient, but I'm used to do it this way. And so we're trying to break that if you want that those habits and say, this is no longer a matter of whether you like it or not, or whether you want to change or not. It's either you changed, or the industry will change you, or just they will exclude you from
It'll leave
from
you
what you're
behind.
doing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's one of the big challenge. There's a great book, I think it's called Crossing the Chasm, where they talk about the early adopters and the distance between the early adopters and the early majority. And I think we're right now crossing that chasm that's between the early adopters and the early majority, where people understand what we do and how we do it. But it's still, when they come to the office in the morning, they turn the TV, maybe the computer, and then they still don't have fundamental in the back of their heads. Once they get in, then they start using it and they say, of course. But I think that those are the challenge, and those were my sleepless nights. How do I get those guys to cross that chasm and get into the early majority, and then the rest of the people?
Right, right. So who are you helping right now? Like who are your particular
Yeah.
clients? Do you go after a particular niche or
Mhm. So we have a business model that is similar to Facebook. Let me give you an example. So if you get a Facebook, you don't pay anything, you get into the platform, and Facebook is paid by the advertiser, right? So for us, the user is the financial advisor and the investor, whether institutional or individual,
yep.
and they have access to a free version of the platform, through the website or in their phones or etc. And the advertiser for us is the asset manager, whether it's traditional or private, right? And so they pay us to put all the data, all the documentation in one place.
Hmm.
And part of the problem we solve is, if you're a financial advisor and you work with 50 asset managers,
Hmm.
you don't want to go into 50 websites to get their information or their fact sheets or their pitch books or all that. You want to go into one place, being able to do comparisons alongside the cross asset classes and all that, and being able to monitor that. And from there, do your proposals, portfolios, etc. And so that's the what we've accomplished.
Mm. Wow, that's interesting. I don't think I've quite heard or seen anything quite like this. Um,
So
it,
typically, what you find is, sorry to interrupt you. Typically, what you find is
yeah.
either you have a platform with people, or you have a platform with data.
Uh-huh.
Very rarely you find a platform that has people and data and a
Yeah.
communication system embedded. And so that's a main difference there, I think, with other platforms. And the other one is simplicity. As I mentioned, the name, it kind of explains everything. Is we want to make things simple for everyone at a distance of 3 clicks. That's how we define simplicity. If we cannot do it in 3 clicks, it bothers me, because I know it's going to bother the rest of the users.
Yeah, I love the 3 clicks rule. And I mean, you certainly are a differentiator. Yeah, like you said, having data and people behind something, it's
Yeah,
having a human, yeah, and chatbots are great, but having a team behind it that you can actually
yeah,
access is
yeah.
that's extremely important. My sister's actually a
With
financial advisor, and her and my brother-in-law have their own firm, and they're looking for, and they use some tools, but they're looking for Um,
And
an
and
interesting
there are
way to
some
look.
great tools out there. And again, it all comes down to what's their strengths and what they had available when they started. So
Right.
now we're saying, listen, you don't need to abandon that, but have a
Yeah.
look at this, see the powerful, how powerful it can be if you use it, and then let us know. And then we're constantly getting feedback from users and say, we like it, but and say, okay, I don't care about the first part. The important thing for us, where I put my ears up and I'm intention is what happens after the bat is what is it that you don't like that we can improve, and I'm obsessed with that because if I can fix that, then the other thing is that I'm a problem solver. So today there's a problem with regulation specific. I want to tackle that, include it in the platform, and those things at the end, little by little, is what is going to bring, I think, our users and our clients to the platform.
Right. Right. No, that makes sense. I mean, so where do you think, how are your clients finding you today?
That's a great question. So we we don't have a formal growth strategy because this is a very niche, very peculiar industry.
Uh-huh.
So I publish a post on markets every day on our blog and on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And then we every week and on Fridays, like today, we grab the last 7 posts, and then with an agent, AI agent, we create a podcast that summarizes what has happened in the week, in the last 7 days. Um, and then we distribute that through our network
Hmm.
and through all the contacts that we have. Both, there are financial advisors in the US, in Latin America, in Europe. We have people listen to the podcast in Asia and Argentina, in Canada, and in Russia. So, it's a very colorful audience that we have. And we do that in English, in Spanish, and Portuguese. Nothing prevents us from doing it in other languages. We just think that we cover, our the area that we work with
Right.
pretty well with that. So that's that. We use a little bit timidly email and social networks, but we also understand that people are being bombarded via emails. At the beginning of our journey, we did a study with financial advisors in Miami, and we realized that they had on average 14,000 emails unread, which means that the chances of they reading an email that I sent are basically zero.
Mhm.
So we try to find other means. And for instance, having this conversation with you, I believe it's a great way of putting myself out there and the company out there because we can reach your audience the same way um, they might be looking for a solution as I was 5 years ago. So this is actually one great way of reaching out to potential new customers.
Yeah, podcasts are fantastic. You build another human connection. You can share anything way more than any type of advertisement. You can get a lot more information if you need it. Plus you can snip it up if you want and cut it.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's exactly. I mean, so you mentioned loving, helping that major problem that someone might tell you when you're, discussing, all their needs and wants. If you had a magic wand and you could fix one thing right now, what would you change? What would you fix?
So, well, there's several things that we're working on, but one is I think simplicity is one thing that we're solving, and you don't need a magic wand. It's just need to think thoroughly about it. And the other thing is transparency. This is an industry where we have the data, so we can be transparent about it, and yet we're not always. And I say we, including myself, we haven't been always transparent with the end client. So I think the industry will be a little bit less profitable, but will be much bigger and much better in terms of performance, fidelity, long-term relationships with clients, with better technology that allows for better transparency and more efficiency. My want will gyrate along those lines if I was able to. Now, if you want me to be more specific, compliance is a big headache for a lot of people. And we're tailoring our efforts more into that compliance side of the equation, but embedded into the process, not as a separate unit, something that goes as seamlessly as possible along you know, the day-to-day activities, as opposed to be something external that needs to intervene once something is wrong. Here is more, okay, can I be preventive and can I incorporate it? How can I use AI to do all these things that they're being required without, destroying the workflow? Those kinds of things.
Yeah. No, I mean this is fantastic. I mean, really, really something unique and a unique offering. I mean, I really appreciate you coming on here today. Where can our audience find you, find your company, and if there's anything
Uh,
else you wanted to share?
yeah, no, absolutely. So regarding the company fundamental, so we have a website, obviously, is www.myfundamental.net. And they can have all the information we have there. They can register into the platform there. There's a button to register. And obviously, we have an app. The app is called Fundamental with an at, fund at mental. We are in the Apple Store, Google Play. They can find us there because we're multi-language, multi-device, multi-system. And then they can see my post on LinkedIn every day. Every day means Saturdays, Sundays, birthdays, January 1st, you know, Thanksgiving, all those days. I write every day, and then they can get access to our podcast, the Fundamental Weekly Review. We're also on Spotify and Apple. So if you want to find us, it's difficult to miss.
Yeah, you're
Sometimes
all
we're
over the
we're out
place, man.
there.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. Well, listen, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and enjoy the great rest of your day.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks.